Bonjour, nice to see you. Voilà, c'est leçon 8 maintenant, it's lesson 8, mais nous sommes à la page 17. If you remember last time, we stopped with the where I live and all the places where I can live in the mountains or in the city or in an apartment or in a house. So I hope that you went through that vocabulaire and that you know that and that you understand that. Just look now, regardez s'il vous plaît. I'm going to try to remember to say that in French every time. Regardez en haut at the top à la page 17. There is just some pronunciation things that I want you to look at. So they say there, let's look at the alphabet, l'alphabet. Let's say that again. Say, remember now, if someone asks you the question that we learned last week, comment ça s'écrit? How is that written? How does that write himself? Comment ça s'écrit? If I say je m'appelle madame and you ask me how is that written, comment ça s'écrit, then I must spell M-A-D-A-M-E. Voila. So now let's quickly look at the alphabet so then you can remember to spell your name. Will you say it? Répétez avec moi, with me. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Remember that E is only E when there's accent on the E, like an accent grave or accent aigu. So when it's a long, like Marlène will be an accent grave, and Abbé will be an accent aigu. Then you say E, otherwise the E is an E. Now, à la page 17, on page 17, they just give you some things to remember the alphabet. They say it can be tricky to remember the way the French say some of the letters. In other words, the difficult ones was E, I, J, H, V, W. Now look at their tricks, they say. Think of some ways to jog your memory. For example, E and J rhyme as in Fiji. E, J as in Fiji. G begins the French word génie. Génie. H sounds like the French word for X, which is ash. Ash. W is pronounced W in French, not W like in English. Think of Volkswagen cars. Both letters rhyme in French, VW, VW. Then they talk about E, la lettre E with an acute accent. An acute accent is very common in French words. It shows how the letter is pronounced. So if you listen, I'll read these words for you, A to F, and read. It's quick. It's a quick sound. It's fast. So, écoute, cinéma, détail, énorme, école, éléphant. So remember that in French, when the E that I told you is like a stepchild. It's really very neglected. So if it's between two consonants, sometimes they just squash it in. So when they put an accent, they're actually adamant that you have to pronounce it. So écoute. And look at elephant, elephant. Otherwise it will be elephant, elephant. Now they say pronounce these words. Écosse, with Scotland, Écosse. Écrit, télévision, répond, téléphone. Répétez. Écosse, écrit, télévision, répond, téléphone. And then they say if you are spelling a word aloud in French and you need to say with an accent, you say et accent aigu, pardon, et accent aigu. So, for example, if I say cinéma, I will say C-I-N-E, accent aigu, M-A. So when you have an accent in your name, I'm thinking of Chanté now. She will say CHANTE accent aigu. Ça va? So that's when you pronounce it. So an accent aigu means it's an accent that goes forward, like I told you, it's quick. It's like an acute, quick. Ça va? So all these things that they give you, the pronunciation and the things, it's actually to help you to remember how to pronounce. So remember now, let's say the alphabet, and now think of Fiji and think of Volkswagen. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So now, if I ask you, comment tu t'appelles? What is your name? You say, je m'appelle Jean. And then I ask, maybe it's not very common in French. I will ask, so, comment ça s'écrit-il? How is that spelled? And then you will say, G-E-A-N. G-E-A-N. Bon. I hope you are d'accord and honest, very comfortable, confortable with the vocabulaire. Retournez, s'il vous plaît, à la page 12. Retournez, so go back. Retournez à la page 12, where unité 2 now actually starts. Ça va? So on the top of the page, you can now see j'habite, which we did in the vocabulary, and that ici means here. J'habite ici. So they will tell this is Paris, c'est Paris, j'habite ici, I stay here. Or maybe when you pass your house or someone wants to drop you off in France, in French, when you are in France for a holiday or something, you will say, ah, s'il vous plaît, monsieur, j'habite ici, I stay here. That's my place. Ça va? Now regardez page 12. If you look on page 12, you'll see there's a map, une carte de la France. There's a map of France. And the French call France an hexagon. An hexagon is something with 6 sides. An hexagon. So if you see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I will tell you today why France is such an important country. But then you have to go back to the beginning of your book. Before even they start, you must go back to this page where you have a map of La France before we even started. Can you see that? Have you got it? I'll give you quelques moments. There you can very easily see the hexagon, and you can now see the countries that border France. So let's look on top. There you've got Angleterre. L'Angleterre, it's actually La Angleterre, the England. La Angleterre, it ends on an E, so it's a feminine country, l'Angleterre. And just on top of that is Le Pays de Galles. That's Wales. And there you can see now that Le Pays de Galles is a masculine country because it doesn't end on an E. Le Pays de Galles. So just, there's a channel between the two countries. I call it La Manche, the English channel. They call it in French La Manche. And if you want to go from England to France, you can either go with a ferry or a boat over the channel, or you can go with an Eurostar. The Eurostar looks like our Gautrain, and it goes underneath the sea. Google that. It's so impressive to see. They made a channel underneath the sea between France and England, and so you can go. You leave, for example, in Paris, and then you go with the train, and then when it gets to Dieppe or Rouen or one of those sent there, Boulogne, then it goes underneath the sea, and you get to London. Isn't that wonderful? So that's about, you can do that in a day. I mean, you can do it for 2 or 3 hours, and you can go back at night. So that's the first important country is Angleterre. Say that? Angleterre. Then if I go to the right-hand side, I see La Belgique. That's also a feminine country, that's Belgium, La Belgique. And then I have Allemagne, La Allemagne, it's also a feminine country, Germany, l'Allemagne. Then I've got La Suisse, Switzerland, La Suisse, l'Italie, Italy, La Italy, Italy. Okay. Then if you go down, you'll see all these wonderful beaches. There's Monaco. Monaco is actually a little French country in Svel, just at the side of, it's actually an independent country, Monaco. Then there's Nice and Cannes and Marseille. It's in the south of France. That's where all the famous people go for holiday, those beaches, Nice and Cannes. And Cannes is also where they have the French Film Festival every year. Like the Oscars, the French have a film festival. And instead of an Oscar, a little statue, they get a palme d'or, a golden palm leaf. That's what they win there if they win something at the French Film Festival. That's in Cannes. But then you go round, and then there's Espagne. Also, La Espagne, that's Spain. So just think about it now. In England, in Belgium, in Germany, in Switzerland, in Italy, and in Spain, their second language is French. And the people on the borders all talk French and Italian, French and German, French and Spanish. And then in England, also the second language they teach the children in school is French. So that is why France is such an important country with its 6 sides, and then the countries that border that's very, very important. That's why most of the people in Europe can also speak French. So their mother tongue will be English, French. Will be in Belgium they speak German and French, and in Allemagne also German and French. And then in Switzerland, Switzerland doesn't have its own language, so it's usually French or German, Italy, Italian and French, and in Spain, Spanish and French. And remember, it's all part of the European Union, so they can actually travel between each other for a weekend. If you live in Belgium, you can go to Paris for a weekend. They don't have to have visas and things, they just travel freely. And that a lot of students study. Some of them study in France, some of them go and study in England, so it's actually an interaction between the languages. But that is why French is a language that's spoken all over the world. It's very, very important. So just look at the countries again. If I now, let's start at the top. If I now want to say, I live in Wales. Now, Wales is a masculine country. So I say, j'habite au Pays de Galles. Oh, can you remember AU before masculine country? England is a feminine country, so I live in England will be j'habite en Angleterre. I live in Belgium, j'habite en Belgique. I live in Germany, j'habite en Allemagne. Feminine. Swiss is feminine, j'habite en Suisse. Italy, feminine, j'habite en Italie. And then Espagne will be, I live in Spain, j'habite en Espagne. Now let's put a city with that. Let's say I live in London, there's Londres. I live in London in England. So in front of a city is always a. So try to say I live in London. J'habite à Londres in England, en Angleterre. Répétez, j'habite à Londres en Angleterre. My aunt lives there. Ma tante habite à Londres en Angleterre. Ça va? Okay, now say for example, I live in Brussels, in Belgium. J'habite à Bruxelles, en Belgique. J'habite à Bruxelles, en Belgique. I live in, for example, Berlin, in Allemagne. J'habite à Berlin, en Allemagne. J'habite à Berlin, en Allemagne. Now I live in Bern in Switzerland. Try that on your own. J'habite à Berne en Suisse. J'habite à Berne en Suisse. Okay? Now, for example, I live in Rome, where the Pope lives. I live in Rome in Italy. J'habite à Rome en Italie. J'habite à Rome en Italie. And then I live in Madrid in Spain. J'habite à Madrid en Espagne. J'habite à Madrid en Espagne. Now, can you remember to say I live in Roodepoort in South Africa? Try. J'habite à Roodepoort en Afrique du Sud. J'habite à Roodepoort en Afrique du Sud. You got it? Now, you know when you're also going to use it is when you say I go. I go is je vais. It comes from ça va, je vais. So if I want to say I'm going to Paris in France, I'm going to say je vais à Paris en France. Je vais à Paris en France. So remember, you have to say Paris in France if you go there. There is a Paris in South Africa, in Afrique du Sud aussi. Okay? Let's say I'm going to Paris in South Africa. Je vais à Paris en Afrique du Sud. Je vais à Paris en Afrique du Sud. Ça va? So, à in front of the city, on in front of the country. So now, if you look at la carte de la France, just look at it very well. So you'll see dans le nord, in the north of France, there is Calais and Boulogne and Dieppe and Honfleur. They are all harbor cities. And then just on the top, dans le nord is Paris, and there's the Tour Eiffel. Remember I told you about the Tour Eiffel last week, La Tour Eiffel. And there's a Disneyland, Euro Disney they call it, and also there's a Parc Astérix just near Paris. And how do I say near again? Près de Paris. Près de Paris. So le Parc Astérix is près de Paris. Euro Disney est près de Paris. And also on this side is Versailles. Versailles is a palace. It's a city now, but it's a city actually originated around the palace. Versailles is where all the French kings lived. You can also go and visit that when you go to Paris. Versailles, it's a city, but the palace name is also Versailles. Versailles. So you can also say, I live in Versailles. Try that now. I live in Versailles, near Paris, in France. J'habite à Versailles, près de Paris, en France. So remember, when you use your French, you can make the sentence longer and longer and longer. So you can say something like, j'habite à Versailles, près de Paris, en France, et j'aime ça, and I like it. So Paris, c'est la capitale de la France. Paris is the French capital. And it's not like us that we've got, for example, Pretoria and Johannesburg and then Cape Town in the south. Paris is actually the center and the heart of the whole France. Everything goes through Paris. Everything comes from Paris. And Paris has got a gare station in each direction. So you've got la Gare du Nord in the northern, la Gare de l'Est, eastern station, la Gare de l'Ouest, and then la Gare, in all the directions they've got stations. So actually they usually say everything comes from Paris and goes through Paris. Okay? So when you go a little bit to the left, in other words, in the l'Ouest is the west, you'll see cities like Le Mans, La Loire, La Rochelle, and there you see a wine bottle, Bordeaux. That's where on that side is a lot of wine vineyards and wine makeries, or what do you say, people that make wine. So it's La Rochelle, Bordeaux, and there you see the wine bottle. Okay. Then if you go to the south, on the west, still on the west, it's Biarritz and Lourdes, and here you see part of the Pyrenees or the mountains. Then the south of France, I think it's the most beautiful part of France. If you go a little bit to the est, in other words, to the east, there you will see Lyon, Avignon, where the little song comes from, Sur le pont d'Avignon, Marseille, Cannes, Nice, Grenoble, and that is where Provence. You usually hear they talk about Provence. That's where the Provence province is. And that's where you get the lavande, the lavender, or the lavender, lavande. Then if you go up with the S, then you see the Alpes, les Alpes, the mountain chain, les Alpes. And then you go up and you see cities like Dijon, Strasbourg, and so on. So if they have the Tour de France, that is the French cycle race, they usually come from outside sometimes in France, or they come from the south, and then they go up all the way through the Alps up to Paris. That's why it's such a hard cycle race to really do. So that is La France. It's a beautiful, c'est un pays très beau. It's very beautiful. So try to take the words and then try to practice your pronunciation, like in the north, dans le nord, there at the Manche. There's the Manche, the channel. It's Dieppe and Rouen and Paris, and go down a little bit, Dijon and Lyon and Grenoble. And then if you haven't been there, start saving. It's really a absolute adventure to go to Paris or to go to France, and maybe take the Eurostar and go to Londres, or go also on the Eurostar, but then he doesn't go down. It's on the ground. Then he goes up down to Avignon. Then if you look at the right-hand side, à droite, down dans le sud, you see there's an island, La Corse. That's Corsica. That's La Corse. So that's also a French island. Now, I gave you a lot of things now to think about for your task. So remember that in your task, I'm going to ask you 19 things, and the 20th thing you have to get a fact or a place or something that you have to describe on your own, and give me 2 facts about that. So start doing that, because in a few weeks I'm going to give you that task, and then you already have some information. So voila, I think that is for today. So if you go back, and before I end, just go back, because that's where we're going to start Leçon 9. If you go back à la page 12, okay, there you see, there's your map. But not as much information as the previous one, but let's just read like a watch. We start at Trouville, just read the cities and the names, so that we can remember that. Trouville, Paris, Lille, Strasbourg, Grenoble, Nice, and La Rochelle. Now, if I want to say in those cities, I say à Trouville, à Paris, à Lille. So try to practice this week and say what your name is, where you live, in which country it is, how your name is spelled, what age you are. So remember that little speech that we made in the beginning, that's my name. So just now add to that. So when we have a speech later on, you can add everything to that. Ça va? Bon. So today was actually all about civilisation. I hope that inspired you to read a little bit more, and to go and watch a little bit more, and to read about the country and about all the habits. So, au revoir, à bientôt. See you next time for Leçon 9. Au revoir.